I want to go into the commonality of techniques. Okay, there are many techniques where every variation has a different name. It's done slightly differently. And for those of you, and the shoulder lock rear takedown that we worked on today for 2,000 times, done in probably a dozen different ways at least, is an example of how one technique can be done in many different ways. And often each one of those different ways of doing the technique, dependent upon the attack, is given a different name. And so you're stuck with, how do I remember all these names? Okay. A martial arts class, I don't think, should be a vocabulary class. Okay. None of us are well versed in Japanese, and to try and give the names in English doesn't solve any problems either, because every instructor gives it a different name. Okay, or every system gives it a different name. Years and years ago, early 80s, I had a student who cross-referenced Budoshin Jujitsu and Danzan-ryu and about 8 or 9 other systems, and he cross-referenced all the techniques on computer. This is when I think he still used, what do you call those? IBM, the what?
Punch cards.
Punch cards, okay. Most of you have no idea what a punch card is. When I was in college, I worked in the laboratory and technical stockroom for what at that time was, what today is called the Air Quality Management District. And we switched over to computers. And the unit for paper was SHT. Okay, that's what we said. We get the printout back, and it went to the head, the head of the AQMD. They were so impressed with it that no one, you have to proof stuff whenever something gets done for you. Okay. They sent it to the LA County Board of Supervisors. Okay, we're the first ones to have this done. I looked through it. I got done with my college classes, went to work, looked through it. I said, look on page 47. All the pages, the unit was SH. Want to guess the next letter? I-T. Someone was not happy. We didn't make the mistake, fortunately.
Now our iPhones do that for us.
What?
Now our phones do that.
Now our phones do that for us. But in any case, and when you have, like, my phone corrects spelling sometimes, you have to be very careful. Because if you don't check the spelling on what it thinks you said, you may be sending a message that has words in it that should not be repeated, or that are insulting or demeaning or things of that sort, okay? So you have to be really careful with that. Anyway, how does that relate to this? Okay, there are commonalities in techniques, okay? You've worked with, like I said, about half a dozen or a dozen different shoulder techniques. That's one type of commonalities. The book Figure 4 Shoulder Lock, or Figure 4 Locks book, is dealing with the commonalities, all kinds of different shoulder locks, okay? The other concept I'm working on with commonalities, and I'll use, who can I use? Who haven't I picked on today? Oh, wait a minute, Coral, she's only been picked on verbally, so, okay. No, you don't have any weapons with you. You don't need any weapons. Okay. Here's the concept I'm working with at this point. You're all familiar with Teinagi hand throw. Okay? And I came up with this concept while practicing Mushin, doing some Mushin, which I think we did last summer, for those of you who were here. And that's where you go through, it's almost like Tai Chi, go through a series of moves, like going into a hand throw and then rotating to a shoulder lock or takedown, and then grabbing hair and coming back and taking the person, and you're working against an imaginary attacker, okay? And it doesn't matter what sequence you use, but you flow from one technique into another. And you begin to realize in doing that, there are a lot of techniques that have the same movements, even though they deal with different body parts. So, we're going to do a hand throw. Okay. We're going to do a hit for the fun of it. Hit. We're going to do a key turn. Okay. We're going to have a kick. Okay. What's in common with those techniques? Go ahead, you got it. You're white belt, you got it though. Say it.
Well, they're all this movement where you're lifting and pushing down on
Okay, every one of those techniques has me turning an extremity counterclockwise. The hand throw, the key turn, the foot throw. It's all the same technique. And my footwork is identical too. Okay, so the question is, are those all different techniques? It's a philosophical question more than anything else. Are those all the same technique? Yeah. What? Yeah. Who's saying yes?
Right behind you.
Right. Why are they all the same technique?
Because it's all the same movement.
Okay, they're all the same movement. Anyone want to disagree? Yes, sir.
I believe that, yes, it is the same process that you're doing, but it's on different body parts.
Okay, but it's on different body parts. Anybody else want to add a few cents in? What is the difference between, come in again, what is the difference between this, okay, this, this, what is the difference in those techniques? And they all have different names. What is the difference? What?
Position she's in. Where she's standing. What she's doing is different.
Okay, what she's doing is different. Okay, what I'm doing is identically the same. Okay, so this is the issue. Okay, we have all these different technique names, and yet so many of them have very common and identical movements. Okay, so if you take this a step further, if you're teaching a martial art, do you teach for attacks as we're all learning, or do you teach the concept movement of this is what you do, and however the person, whatever you can latch onto for your execution is really irrelevant, because it is. So that's the question, and that I have not figured out yet. Okay, okay, because if that is valid, that really messes with everybody, including me. And you don't want to mess with the status quo. Okay. So I don't know whether I had too much sugar at lunch, or but that's a question I'm pondering. Okay, because that then becomes the issue. Okay. Do you have a bunch of separate techniques? How many different ways can you do a hand throw? Okay, are they all the same technique? Okay, and I can't answer that question yet. Yes, sir.
But you've also shown us that the details matter. Each one of these has a little bit different details.
Yeah, you have details matter. Yes. Okay, and maybe if you have we're teaching techniques of the concept, the details are perhaps more difficult to point out unless you're dealing with specific attacks, and then people expect a name for it, and they see part of it. It's a guitar that's out of tune. People expect a certain sequence in learning, okay? And I'm not saying this in a demeaning manner. It gives us all a sense of security, okay? If you give an abstract concept, it's hard for people to deal with. And the need for details means you have to give names, okay? That's a C chord, I think. Anyway, okay. Who else? You had a.
My observation would be that it seems like when you have things that they have in common, like there's a principle that they share in common.
Okay.
I know this isn't a vocabulary class, but you wanted to steer away from that. But it seems like you can talk about grouping them in terms of sharing the same fundamental principles. But the
Okay, that's a really valid point. Yeah, and I appreciate it. It's I see you guys are exercising my mind now. Okay, it's a print. You're dealing with a principle. Okay, or if you do things in a certain way, certain other things will happen. Okay, that makes sense. Anybody else have a thought or?
So rather than calling them the same technique, it seems fairer to call them very closely related techniques.
Yeah, they're closely, yes.
But I think you're getting at the idea that you could teach what they have in common instead of teaching them as separate techniques, as another way in.
Right, and that's a question. You know, it's a question. Can they be taught? Can you teach a common movement and say these are examples of that principle or common movement? Yeah, and that's the. I don't know whether it can be done or not. Okay, so that was that. Okay, you cannot use two pressure points at once. You can only use one. That was it. It just looked deceptive. Okay, any other, do you want to try this one for the fun of it? Oh, okay.
I would say that's my point is it could be an attack against someone with super big hands, very strong against someone like.
They could, yeah, and if you come in, you come on back out here. You're not getting away. Okay, if you come in and you can, if you can get behind a person. If they were attacking you and you can get behind a person, that's where you want to be. That's the safest place to be. It's hard for them to hit or kick you in that position, okay? And if you can get back there and come in and you can go for any of the nerves on the side of the neck. If you're going to do it left-handed, fine. If you want to do it right-handed, then you've got to get on their left side. But you want to just dig in on one of those nerves, okay? And rather than just press in, you really need to. You got a good pulse there. You really need to dig in, okay, and bring their head down, and then bring it in towards you. And it's amazing how cooperative, because they want. Okay, in this position, they want to stand up. They're exerting their own pressure against the pressure point, okay, because you're not going to let them, okay. My thumb is just there for support. Okay. You can also get depending where you put this finger, if it's towards the front, it's going to turn them in towards you. If you bring it down, a little further down here, it can bring them down to the ground. Okay, depending on the person. Okay, so we're going to have you find someone, and when you get done, please massage the area a little bit. Okay. Also with nerve attacks, most people will let you do it to them maybe once or twice, and if you're doing it right, that's it, because it really is. It can really be painful, and that's not our. You know, once you know you're effective, you can control that level of pain, and then you become dangerous. Okay, because there's an old saying: once you injure a person, you can't do anything with them. If you can create enough pain that they cooperate with you, you've won, and they're not hurt too much usually. Okay, so I want you to find someone, and I just want you to try this. I want this person, come back here just for a second. I want this person, because we've got to give you an attack. He's going to come in, he's going to reach for me, or he's going to swing at me, whatever. Just block him out of the way, come around behind him, and you're here. Okay, I don't want you to cheat and bring him down with that, or knee him, you know, or knee up the rectum, which will wreck him. Okay, because he'll have an immediate need of a bathroom. But I want you to try doing this and use your finger pressure. Try to do it with the tip of the finger, not this part, but try and apply the pressure with the tip as much as possible. Okay, let's see what you do. A lot of it depends on the person's muscle structure. There are some people, and I found that thin people are the most difficult ones to have nerve attacks work on. I don't know if the muscle, it may be that the muscle build is such that everything feels fairly smooth, and you can't feel where the particular muscles are and get around or under or behind them. Those two. Okay, they don't work on. And keep in mind, if you try a nerve technique on a person, if one doesn't work, don't go for a second one. You're wasting your time. Try what did I mention last summer? If a nerve technique doesn't work, try it's a big fish.
Joint sensei?
What?
Shark bite.
Shark bite. Try a shark bite. Okay. If a nerve attack doesn't work, a shark bite will. Okay. I don't know why they call it a shark bite. That's one of Hal Gross's terms. It seems to work a lot better than a little pinch. Which I'm going to do a little pinch on you. Okay. Anything else? Anything else you want a defense for, or need to see a technique done better or a different way? Okay. Then we're going to give you a fun submission. Okay. Because out on the street, it's hard for a person people to say you're using too much force when your attacker is laughing. Okay. And so let me borrow Mr. Mike, since he volunteered.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and just lie down. This is, after a hand throw or something. And most of you, I don't know if you're familiar with, you can take a heel and just thrust and pull up and hopefully separate the shoulder joint. Okay, but if you want to have fun with this person, what you do is you start vibrating the heel. Okay. It's stupid, yes. But it's an effective submission, and nobody can say you're hurting the person. It's annoying.
It is.
Okay. And it's if you're ever in a freestyle kata tournament, it's a great technique to use because it will blow everyone's mind. What is he doing? It's supposed to be pain. And well, you have to realize that an itch or tickle actually is a pain. Okay. I'm getting acupuncture right now for an itch on my back. Okay, my argument to my doctor, this is Kaiser, it's an HMO, and they have all sorts of, they had to refer me to pain management. But my rationale was, an itch is an irritated nerve. A pain is an irritated nerve. Therefore, an itch is a pain. Therefore, I need to be seen by pain management. And my doctor looks at me and says, that makes sense. So, an itch is actually a pain. Okay? So, we're going to have you try this one. Okay? Whatever position, just take the heel of your foot, put it into their armpit, poor baby, and just start vibrating it. And the more pressure you apply, the more...
Hang on. Okay, now go.
The more pressure you apply, the more it's going to itch. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I want everybody to get a partner and try this once. Other techniques for handshakes. Let me borrow. Okay. Okay. You're all familiar with the thumb one. Okay. You're all familiar with the thumb one, live long and prosper and all that stuff. Okay. You're all familiar with this one. Okay. Are you familiar with this one? Okay. It's the one. If you're not familiar, if you're holding a person's hand, and if you have your thumb, it has to be the side of your index finger and the side of your thumb. And you'll notice there's a gap in the wrist, okay? And so if Cousin Bubba, okay, he's a good Cousin Bubba. He's got a good build, okay? if he's shaking your hand, you let him shake. And what happens is, as you bring the hand up, you get your index finger in there, that opens up this a little more. There's also a tendon in here. Okay? And you shove the side of your thumb into that one, and then as he comes down, we got a click there too. Loosened up his wrist. Okay, you press down on that and you step back. Okay. Now, if it's a street situation, you might want to at that point come in and bless him with a knee to the chest. Okay. I don't recommend the face. Number one, it's too high up. Number two, dental bills are very expensive. You know, if by some off chance you break a rib or crack a sternum, it's a relatively minor injury. Okay, cracked sternums hurt like hell. I did it accidentally, one of my black belts decades ago. I told him to lie still. I was doing a sternum press submission and he decided to resist, and I lost my balance. And they took him to St. Joseph Hospital in Burbank, and they taped him up. They don't even tape you up anymore. And they told him to go home and try not to breathe for 3 or 4 weeks. Because it only hurts when you breathe. Anyway. So, if you want, you can try that one, okay? Or, give you another one, if he's doing a shake, you're going to come in elbow strike, which bends his wrist, and then you're going to come out sideways, and you're going to take him out that way. If you have to use 2 hands, use 2 hands. Come out, down, around, and down. Okay? You all still have his hand. Okay? So you still have his hand. Oh, and he got stabbed by the knife. Okay? You have his hand. All you're going to do is your left hand is going to press down, and you're going to turn it clockwise as you step around his head. Okay? And now you're set for a technique that we did earlier. Okay, where your knee goes down in here. Now, the thing is, with this one, he's trapped here, okay? He really cannot get out. I have one additional move I can do from here if I'm gymnastically inclined, and that's a front somersault in that direction. And that will take his shoulder out. This is a pin, this is a submission. If he's got friends and you want to impress them, you do a front somersault from here, and that will have his arm go in that direction. Okay? So all you're going to do, we're not going to have you do that because I want him back next week. Okay, here, just come and strike with your elbow. That's a distraction. Then you reach out. If you need 2 hands because you sense some resistance, this hand clamps on here, and you're just going to reach out and up. Don't go down. That won't work. You're going to go about a 45-degree out until he's off balance, then take another step, take him down. Okay? Your walking is necessary to make the technique work. You're going to turn this hand clockwise. As you go around his head, he goes over. Okay? If you want, you can bring this knee in. You can come down with both if you want to go into cuffing. Okay? Whatever your heart desires. Okay? You say, sir, put your other hand behind your back. Behind your back, sir, thank you. Okay? And actually, I'll cuff that one before I cuff this one, because this is my control. Okay, very good. One thing before we adjourn, I've been looking at these LED flashlights for a long time, and where is it? It's amazing that some of them are up to 1,500, 2,000 lumens. Okay, and I saw these on Amazon. These are about $3, $3.50 a piece, which is dirt cheap. The shipping is like $8. That's where they get you. But if you buy more, I think I ended up buying about 6 of them, and the shipping was like $30 or $40, which was still cheaper. But the nice thing, these extend and they make a nice Kubotan, okay, or they're short, okay. One of the things I was concerned about was that you get above a certain number of lumens and it'll blind you. And so I did some research on it, and the sun puts out about 120,000 lumens. Okay, what will a flashlight of 1,000 to 2,000 lumens do to you? Okay, it may blind you for a few minutes, It may give you spots in front of your eyes for several minutes. Will it do any permanent damage? No. Okay, and that was my concern, because I mean, I won't shine one of these in one of your eyes, but if at night, if you have to get up and you need a flashlight, that flashlight goes into that flashlight needs to go into their face. Or the light does, not the flashlight. Okay, okay, and if you do it, it can blind the person for several seconds or a minute. If you have a high enough intensity flashlight, and that gives you a chance to escape. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, and yes, there are a lot of cool techniques to use with a flashlight, but the best one to use is use it to get away. Okay, whenever you're in a situation, your best choice is, if you can get away, get away. Okay, running does not mean you're a coward. Running means you're smart. Okay, if you're going to run away, the only caveat on that is make sure you know where you are running to. Don't run down a blind alley. Okay, some people run to stupid places. Okay, make sure you know where you're running to.